Okay, class. Welcome to week 4, the last week of career academic counseling. And so I hope you are all working towards completing this class. Haven't had any issues or any situations where students in this class won't be completing the class. So I do appreciate you following up with me and communicating with me in regards to that. So with that said, this is week 4, and I'm going to go ahead and just go over what your main assignment for this week will be. You still will have your discussion boards, and I believe we looked at, yes, you have your week 4 discussion board, so make sure you do those. And we have week 4 assignment, which is the volunteer career plan. I'm going to go over that in a minute. I do want to bring your attention to your field work logs. Make sure you are submitting those and uploading those on the link that's provided here. So make sure you do that. And that way I could go ahead and give you credit for that. And our final exam, the final exam is open book. It will have a time limit of an hour. So it's comprehensive. There will be some questions on career theories and whatnot for that, but the remaining questions, which will be a total of 15, will be focused on units 5 to 8. So please take a look at those units. So unit 5, 6, 7, and 8, and make sure that you go over those. Again, the final will be open book, so you could go ahead and use your book and notes that you've taken for the class. Okay? And so this is a link for the final exam. If you're having any issues, please communicate those to me as soon as possible. Sometimes students run across issues of not being able to access the quiz or the exam. Other students have problems with submitting their quiz or exam. So please let me know if any of those issues come up, okay? All right, so the main assignment for this week is your volunteer career plan. And so this is pretty much a signature assignment that's accumulating everything that you learned in this class. So the goal here is to select a participant, a volunteer, that you will create a career plan for. There are clear guidelines in the rubric, so I'm going to go over the rubric. However, you want to focus on your subject and the career planning process for your subject, okay? And I do want you to include resources, any resource that you used. So whether it was a website, whether it was a handout, or whether it was, you referenced a specific program, a community college program, a certificate, a transfer institution. I do want you to make sure that you include all of that. And so just make sure that you are spell checking and reviewing or editing your assignment before you submit. This assignment will be in APA format, and it's a 4 to 6 page paper assignment, okay? And so if we look at the rubric's pretty general, but I do want to just show you the rubric. And oops, let me go back. Okay, so let's go here. Let's go to rubric. Okay. So this is how I'm going to go ahead and grade your assignment. The background of your subject or participant, your volunteer. You want to include detail and provide, what the background is, what's, your participant, where is he or she at in their stage in their career planning development. So there is a guideline that I want you to follow when you're interviewing your participant, and that's found on your book, page 137. There is an interview intake guideline that I would want you to follow as you're interviewing your participant and getting information. The assignment will require that you have your participant take 2 assessment results or inventories. So like I try to be and try to keep it as simple as possible, I would recommend that you just have your volunteer participant do the 2 assessments that you did for this class. And it's on, the websites here, California Career Zone. Go to Explore and have them either take the interest profiler, the skills profiler, or the work importance profiler. So again, I would recommend that you make it as easy as possible for both you and your volunteer participant. The assessments don't have to come from California Career Zone. You could have another assessment be taken by your volunteer subject. So this is just a suggestion just to keep it easy and simple for you all. Okay, so again, you would get 4 points if your participant did 2 or more assessments. And then also labor market, I do want you to include information on what's the outlook of your participant's career goal or career objectives, right? So what's the outlook? I mean, if your participant wants to become a computer engineer, what's the outlook of careers in engineering in the future? And so provide labor market information. One resource, students will ask, Professor Valdez, where can we get information? Again, I like to use California Career Zone. If you go to Explore and you go to California industry sectors, it could give you a list of the industry sectors in California. And if we just keep it simple, let's keep it with engineering, then it kind of gives you an overview of the industry here in California. And so it gives you different occupations that are related to engineering, those that are the highest paying and those that are the fastest growing, right? So, and it gives you a percentage of annual openings that are available. So just for sake of keeping it simple, we would put, let's go ahead and put here environmental engineers. So obviously it could give you, a overview of this specific career pathway. It gives you the average salary in California, the number of openings, and so here you could definitely provide some labor market information in regards to this specific career field, okay? And so that's what I mean by providing labor market information. So this is just one source. You could go ahead and Google other sources. Another popular one that's more comprehensive is ONET. So if you look at ONET, it's a career exploration tool and job analysis tool for the United States. And here, what you can do is just search for any career pathway or career sector. Here, it'll tell you that civil engineers, there's a bright outlook for civil engineers in the United States in general. And then it'll kind of hone in on specific things that they do, skills that are needed. And if you look at, let's look at wages and employment. And it gives you the number of wages and, for example, the hourly and the annually. And this is nationwide, okay? So it's not local salary information. But see, this is the neat thing about this website that I like, is that it gives you the projected growth. How if we're guiding students, how is this career pathway going to look for the student maybe 10 to 15 years from now? And so here it says that, engineering here in general is faster than average. So there will be a lot of projected job openings in 10 years from now. So again, this is just another source. ONET and California Career Zone are the ones that I use mostly with my students. So, so yeah, that would be that for the labor market information. So going back, let me see if I can bring up the rubric. Okay. And then you get 4 points for stating career goals that are communicated to you by your subject. Okay, so any career goals, I'm going to be looking for career goals that were stated, objectives, and how are you going to accomplish or help your participant accomplish those goals, which would be supported by activities, strategies, methods that you would use that you're going to recommend for your participant to do to accomplish their goals. And then how long will it take your participant to accomplish their career goal, right? So if I see all that in your paper, you'll get the most points, which is 4. And then the end, possible barriers. Like, what are some possible barriers that you sense might come across, and your subject might come across as they're navigating their career path, right? So any barriers and recommendations to manage some of those barriers. Okay. So that's the rubric. Someone brought up a good point. If I had an example of a paper that a student had written, I emailed the previous classes in regards to having me give permission to use this assignment as an example, and I didn't receive any responses. So as of now, I don't have an example, but I do have a kind of guide for you as you're creating your, as you're kind of drafting your paper. And so, this is APA format. So I do want a title page and no abstract, but a title page and a reference page as well. And so 3 sources minimum required. So, as an example, California Career Zone could be 1 source, ONET could be a 2nd source, and your book could be a 3rd source if you want to, keep it simple. 4 to 6 pages. So it is a 4 to 6 page report. No more than 6 pages. Just keep it at 4 to 6. Okay. And so I would structure your paper in this format. You don't have to do it this way, but it just makes it easier for me as I'm grading. So, background, provide context, give me a little information on your participant, and this is based on your interview. And so the interview guide questions could be found on page 137 of your textbook. Inventory results. So give me the results of your subject. And so, if they did do the interest inventory, what did that look like? The skills inventory, what did that look like? What did that say about your subject? And if you want to include more than 2 assessments that your participant takes, then go ahead and include those as well. And then your career counseling approach. So what theory or theories did you use to guide and plan your participants' career pathway, right? What were some of the methods? And so for me, I whenever I do career guidance with my students, I take a very more of a Rogers person-centered approach, where I listen to the participant and really just provide unconditional positive regard for their objectives and goals and what they want to accomplish here at the community college. So I do a lot of listening, active listening, a lot of nonverbals with the student, providing validation. And so that's my kind of career guidance approach when I'm working with students. So I do want to see that. And then your career plan. So this is going to be the main component of your paper. So the career plan. So what are the goals and objectives of your participant? Like, what do they want to achieve? When I'm working with students, a lot of them want to transfer to a 4-year university. So they want to transfer to a 4-year university and major in, let's say, biology, because their career goal is to go to become a doctor. And they need to go to medical school. They need to create and accomplish prerequisites for that. So you really want to make sure your participant establishes clear and concrete career goals. And then activities and strategies. What activities and strategies are you recommending for your subject to accomplish their goal, right? And then how long is it going to take? So, if it's going to take 2 years, a year, if it's going to take 6, 7, 8 years, you want to include that timeline as well. And the requirements for the career path, right? So if I have a student that wants to become a doctor, I have to go through all of the requirements that the student needs to do before they even apply to medical school and eventually become a doctor, which is what their career goal is, right? And then again, I have the labor market information. Please include the outlook of the career path for your participant. And last but not least, make sure you conclude your paper with what did you learn from this assignment? Okay, it's a reflection. So that's the main question that should drive your conclusion. So what were some of the things you learned in regards to creating a career plan for your subject? Okay, and so that is the main assignment for this week other than your final exam. If you have any questions, please make sure to email me. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and conclude our session and conclude the class. There's always situations that come up in the future. Examples of those situations are, you are required to submit letters of recommendation. You might be required to, you might in the future have an interview that you're being part of. And so what I tell students is that if you want to use me as a reference, you could use me as a reference. You can. I will support you. However, just give me a heads up. Let me know that you're interviewing for a job, and they might do some reference checks. So I'll be more than happy to be a reference check or a reference person for you all if you need that. Letters of recommendation as well. If you need me to look at your resume as you're finishing the program, or going through an internship opportunity, let me know. Use me as a resource, not just for this class, but for your future career goals and objectives for the future. So let me know what I can do to be of help. And with that, I'm going to close. So thank you all for having me as your instructor for this month. And if I do have you in the future, don't be strangers. Say hi. And I look forward to working with you all in the future. Thank you.